Bob Harper, welcome to the American Glutton Podcast.
I'm so excited to talk to you.
Me too. We're doing it, bud. We've been on we've done lots of Zooms, we've hung out in person, but we haven't done anything official like this. So this is it.
And do you kind of think that we're forming a friendship, you and me, Ethan?
I feel like we're very old friends, in fact.
Yeah, the very first time that you and I met at that coffee shop down here in Soho, I was. Wait, are we recording this right now?
We're recording. We're in. This is it. This
Okay.
is the show.
Okay. And let me just. I don't have to speak I don't have to speak filtered, correct?
No, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, so I think it's interesting for everyone to know that I was very excited to meet you for our coffee date, and I was interested in for so many reasons. One, I was really excited to see what you were going to order to eat and or drink. You only had water.
Sparkling water. There was carbon infused water.
Yes, you had carbon infused water. I had espresso, and there was no food. I felt sorry for the waitress at one point because I felt like I'm sure she wanted us to order something, but so I was interested in that, and then I was also interested in seeing you in person because I've seen your transformation, and it's been fascinating for me, and I had so many thoughts and questions that I wanted to ask you about, but also I just wanted to see what you looked like in person.
Well, and that was the interesting thing to me too, because, in fairness, publicity photos or photos that are, handpicked over for social media, these things can be deceiving. So I completely know what you're saying. And I appreciated you saying that too, because I have been in the situation before where, sometimes massive weight loss doesn't look healthy. You see people and they look like they're harming themselves to get to this.
I think what it is that when I see someone that has had drastic weight loss, sometimes it's not that they're not comfortable in their new skin, but it's just, it seems foreign. They're foreign to the outside world, and you had none of that. I thought you looked really healthy. I thought you were very handsome. True story. Sorry, Brandy. Or good. Good for you, Brandy.
Yeah, kudos to Brandy. Maybe.
Yeah, kudos to. I mean, look what she's got.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then when I heard that the weight that you've had off, it's been you hit that 5 year mark, which is, I think, it's a big telling sign. In my business, there's people that can lose weight, drop weight. It can happen, but it's the keeping it off that I think is the hardest. I always say that to people. It's like, you know what? You want to lose weight? Losing weight is the easy part. But it's like, as soon as you get on that scale and you're looking for that number that you want, or you're wanting to be in those jeans that you just can't wait to be in. It's like, all that is well and good, but then you have to realize that you're getting up tomorrow morning, and you know what? You got to keep doing it still over and over again.
Yeah, dude. I think about analogies for this all the time because I do think it's a hard thing to understand. And one of them I was thinking about recently, and tell me if this makes sense to you. If I go like, I want $1 million in the bank, and how am I going to do that? Okay, I got to go through all my bills and figure out where I'm wasting money, figure out sources to make more money. And then I get to the $1 million and I look at it in my bank account and I'm overjoyed that I have $1 million in the bank. And then the next day it starts to disappear because the whole goal was just getting it, right? There was no part of that goal that was keeping it, right? And because, then you have $1 million and you're like, well, I should live the way a person who has $1 million cash lives. That means I can start to spend freely again. I've it's very weird because I think we think these things like, I'm going to get $1 million in the bank and then my life is set forever. And I'm sorry, that money isn't going to last you very long unless you invest it. And then it's not in your bank account anymore. You
I
know,
was about to say,
you're,
unless you invest it.
yeah, you're not making money on it in your say. I mean, what bank's going to pay you, probably charge you to hold that money.
Okay, well, let's think about that a little further. You get the $1 million, you want to keep it, and so you do invest in it. Aren't we all investing in our bodies? So we got to play the game. We've got to do all the things that we know we need to do. We need to. One quote that I use all the time is just trust the process, which can be very, very difficult, and it's one of those isms that sometimes annoys me. Like, I know that lifestyle change is something that annoys you.
Yeah.
And until you get to the point where you're like this, oh fuck, I really do have to change my lifestyle if I want to keep this up. And it's one of those like isms that really works. It's like, trust the process, know that you're going to you're going to it's all going to work out if you just continue to just trust it and just try to stay on track as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, I love trust the process, and lifestyle change is one that still because for years I would hear lifestyle change and I would think, well, I stopped eating bread. I've done that's lifestyle change. I used to eat bread and now I don't, and that's lifestyle change. And I think it's one of those hard things where, in recovery, we say fake it till you make it. And that's another good one where it's just like, no, put one foot in front of the other and just do the thing that you believe is going to get you there. And eventually you'll find your way, is kind of that thought process. But I do also think that we have this universe of diet and health where there's so much bad garbage information
Mm-hmm.
that it's like, okay, trust the process. I've been not eating lectins now for 3 years and I'm not losing weight. All I wanted to do was lose weight. I fell into that trap so many times. Um, and I think if people have the correct information, which is like, yeah, if you've got some autoimmune disease, maybe less lectins are screwing you up and you shouldn't eat
Mm-hmm.
lectins. But just cutting lectins out aren't going to guarantee you weight loss. So what are you really in this process for? I think figuring that out. Why do you want $1 million? What do you want to do with that? If you just want to look at the zeros in your bank account, okay. But if you don't continue to put those put that there, it's going to disappear. Your bills are going to come and eat that money up, and your life is going to come and put the weight back on you. So it's just so it gets so involved.
Yeah, you said something that sparked a thought in my head, because I know that you and I come from different different paths. Our journeys are different. I've never been morbidly obese. I am a person that is obsessed with weight. I'm obsessed with your weight. I'm obsessed with my weight. I'm a person that weighs myself every single day. I'm crazy in that way. It's these things, these little things that work for me. And one thing that I've never been able to do, and I've done it, or I've never been able to do it for the long haul. Because I've been on, like, I've experimented with every diet, with every exercise. Like, I have treated myself as a guinea pig in the health and fitness world my whole career. And when everyone got on the whole Atkins thing, and then it was then it was keto, and then it's all like carb cutting, carb cutting, carb cutting. That was something that I just could not do for the long haul, because I sound like Oprah Winfrey right now when I say I love bread,
Yeah.
because I do, and I want to find ways that I can. Again, here's one of those trigger words in our business of balance. I found that, like, macro counting was something that really worked for me, and I've talked and sat down with many people with with eating disorders that, like, are obsessive, and I'm talking fit people that are just like, I can't do macros because I become too obsessed. And I think about that, and I've thought about it, and I'm like, aren't we all obsessed? If we're all in this fitness world, knowing you now the way that I'm getting to know you, you're obsessed.
Yeah.
You're obsessed with, you are obsessed. And like we have to use our obsessions for good, right? It's like the superheroes out there. Are you going to use your powers for good, or are you going to be are you going to use it for evil? And when I have found that I have been able to balance being able to eat like a sandwich for lunch, that sandwich makes me happy. It affects my quality of life in a good way. And so for other people it's different.
Yeah. No, I've become obsessive about moderation and the implementation of moderation. And to be honest with you, I'm such an extreme person that
Mm-hmm.
moderation seems to be the hardest thing for me. So it's a great obsession and it's a great game um to go, I'm gonna eat bread today. That doesn't mean I'm gonna eat a loaf of bread. I'm gonna have
Right.
two pieces of bread and I'm gonna turn them into a sandwich because I too enjoy sandwiches and I'm gonna get super creative. Who knew I liked sliced cucumbers on a sandwich? But turns out I do. I'm not gonna beat myself up about the lectins in those cucumbers because they don't seem to be having a huge effect on my life.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making me fat, which was my biggest priority. And I don't have a host of autoimmune disease that I'm trying to handle. But yeah, I agree. Their obsession is, you know, and I hate to frame it that way simply because there are people who are gonna be like, I'm out,
Yep.
I want a quick fix or I'm not gonna participate.
And I would say to that person, then you should be out,
Yeah.
because I can be your biggest cheerleader. I I have worked with overweight people for many, many years. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink, right? So if you're looking for that quick fix, then you need to know whatever it is that you're doing in that quick fix phase. Uh, you have to know that all that hard work and dedication for that short period of time is gonna fall by the wayside. I mean, you can't keep that up. So I always try to find, especially now in my life, oh my God, how old am I? I'm about to be 59 this year.
You look
You know,
incredible, Bob.
well, you know, I look better on Zoom. But I try to find the things that I can do in my life at this age that I can feel good about myself, because for when I got into my 40s and early 50s, I remember just thinking, wait a minute, I want to be the guy that I was in my 20s, in my 30s. Like, I want to be that guy. And when I came to the realization that I might not be able to be that guy anymore, but I can be, this guy. And it almost, well, it took me not only having a heart attack almost 7 years ago and going into cardiac arrest to have that like very big wake up um, moment where I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to pivot. And pivot has become a word that I use a lot and I've been using for the past several years.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea, pivot. I too am, you know, when I've gone through iterations of obsessions as we talk about obsession. I was
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with cycling. And when you talk about people you've seen who have undergone massive weight loss and then been uncomfortable in their skin, when I was 200, close to 200 pounds, I didn't know who I was. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
unrecognizable to myself. I felt frail and I felt I just did it wasn't me and it was very hard for me to exist, especially because I had gotten there by just doing a ton of cardio
Mm-hmm.
and that was not sustainable. So any days that I missed multiple hours of cardio, I would feel myself getting fatter because I was. And I was also basically starving myself, also not sustainable. So anytime the hunger would become too much and I'd break and I'd eat, I'd feel, you could feel it. So there was that struggle, but then there was also the struggle of like, I don't know myself at this size. And it was
Hmm.
uncomfortable. I'm far more comfortable with myself now. I'm heavier than I should be on the BMI scale, but I'm like happy at this weight. And in the beginning of this iteration, I was obsessively lifting weights and trying to build muscle. And then I went like, what's the end result of that? Am I going to be a bodybuilder? Am I going to be,
Right.
like, there was one little voice in the back of my head that was going like, build muscle to fill up loose skin. And
Uh,
and then I actually sat down one day and did the calculation of like, okay, I weighed 500 pounds, 500 plus pounds. Muscle is denser and heavier than fat. So if I want to stretch my skin out enough with muscle to fill up all the room that it had grown out for the fat, I'm going to have to be like 800 pounds.
yeah.
This is not realistic. This is not
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah. Those numbers don't make any sense. That's why the friends that I have and the people that I've worked with that went that had uh, skin removal surgery. Uh, First of all, I mean, it's supposed to be so painful, but it's just that moment where, you know, a person that weighs 500-600 pounds, their goal could be, and they've lost all this weight. Their goal is to just be able to like go to the beach with their wife or their husband and just take off their shirt and just kind of like feel like a, quote unquote normal person. And it's like I really have like empathy for people that have those, and I say simple goals in the nicest possible way, because it's like, we all want to kind of just look as good as we can possibly look. And that's another thing I tell people so much, as far as when it comes to looking the way you want to look. And there's all this social media out there and all these influencers that are just like giving you what you say, this garbage information. And you want to just kind of say, you've got to be able to be the best you that you can possibly be. Find something that you can sustain. Find something that you feel good about. When you said you weren't good, you weren't good with yourself, didn't know yourself when you were in that sub 200, but you feel healthier and you feel like it's more attainable for you to live, not starving yourself and not like running your body into the ground with cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. Just an anecdote about the social media people. I have daughters and I have one daughter who's constantly sending me images of some girl saying like, this is the perfect ass. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay. And she's like, no, but you don't understand, Dad. All I have to do is eat raw dairy to get this ass.
Uh,
And I'm like, this is madness. This is complete madness. Like I don't think the raw dairy is going to have any effect whatsoever on your ass. This
yeah,
girl has a great genetic ass and she probably does a lot of dips or something like that. I don't know, or squats or whatever, hip thrust.
squats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But also, like, have you seen a really lean, muscular ass? They don't look that great. They're weird. You want a little fat on there. And the squats aren't doing anything to build fat on your ass. They're building muscle. So like what are we
Right.
talking about here? It's
I know.
crazy.
It's I I think about like all those fad diets that are out there and all those crazy things. And I will say one thing positive about some of these like extreme kind of ways of eating. And the one positive thing I would say is like it's getting people to think about what they're eating.
Yeah.
Where before, there's all this mindless eating out there, right? You're just like that Pavlov's dog that just drives past, it sees a drive-through and is just like, oh my God, I want it. I'm one of these people. I could be watching a cooking show and they're making some, I don't know, lasagna or something. I'm like, God damn it, I really want some lasagna right now. It's like I
Yeah.
understand that mentality. but like when people start these diets, Whole30, Mediterranean, whatever it is, it gets people thinking about what they're eating, when they're eating, and I would hope that it could start a different pattern, because we all, like, everything is a routine. Like, you're the way that you eat, the way that you exercise, it is a routine, it is a habit, and you've got this habit, and it just, like, you work with it all the time. And like, I'm the exact same way. I am a creature of habit. I love my workouts that I do every day. I eat pretty much the same thing all the time.
Yeah,
And
me
then
too.
it becomes very cyclical. And when I talk with people, I'm like, oh, I'm just so bored with the way I eat. I'm like, well, don't look for there to be some party in your mouth every single time you eat, because that's just not the case. I mean, find different ways to work with the food that you're cooking, because I think that a lot of times when when I see a person, or I talk to a person that has that fit, healthy body, that the girl that has the ass that your daughter's talking about, I really want to sit down with her off camera and just be like this, break it down.
Right.
Tell me
What
what
are
you're
you
eating.
doing? Yeah.
What are you doing? I want
Right.
to know what you're eating on the daily. And when I talk to those people that have those kind of, like, fit, beautiful bodies, more times than not, they're 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 eating, and their workout regimes are or regimens are very minimalist.
Yeah.
They're very basic.
But they're consistent.
That's right. It's all
Yeah.
about consistency, right?
Yeah,
It,
this is the fascinating thing, because I love thinking about all of this, but it's like I do so much in my life on autopilot. I don't think about brushing my teeth. Occasionally, my wife will introduce a new brand of toothpaste before the last brand is out, and that will be the only decision I consciously make, is like, am I going to try this new one before I've run out of our Crest? But otherwise, it's just like, no, I get up and I do that. That thing
mhm.
happens. I ate on autopilot too. Like you said, I wanted a party in my mouth all the time. Like, my big decision would come down to, like, do I feel more like Wendy's right now or McDonald's? That would be the point of decision I was making. But I wanted a burst of fat and sugar and flavor in my mouth with every meal. In order to relearn and create new habits, like, you got to catch a lot of this automatic stuff and figure out new ways to get around it. Like, it requires a lot of work. It isn't just don't eat bread. For me, like, maybe somebody stops eating bread and that saves their life and they achieve all their goals. I haven't met that person.
Yeah.
I've not run into that person. Um, but like, trying to undo, it'd be like if I kept getting speeding tickets and I decided, like, I'm going to change the way I drive simply by adhering to the speed limit. How long would that last before you're
Right.
speeding again? It's I'm not all of the movements of driving a car are done mostly on autopilot. If there's traffic, I make a decision to figure out an alternate route, and then I go back onto autopilot. Eating is much the same for me. I
Mhm.
had to spend a couple of years, like, really thinking about every single thing that could involve decision.
Autopilot is the devil's playground, right? I mean, you're just, once you disconnect from the mind, whatever it is that you're doing, like, you're not present. You're not
Yeah.
present with it. You don't realize that if you're in the car driving home and you have, I don't know, cookies or something, and you're eating, like, you don't even realize you've eaten 1,000 calories before you got home for dinner. Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things. Or it's like, oh my God, I've had a real shit day and I just want to sit. And I understand this. I come home, sometimes I'm just like, I want to get on my sofa. I want to, like, eat my dinner, watch television, not talk, and just check out.
Yeah.
And I have to really work on that. And it's something I have to be very present. And one thing I do here, I live here in New York City, and I teach these hot yoga classes, and I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm completely obsessed with it. And with the practice that I do, it is the same every single day. It's these 26 postures. We do them with 2 breathing, one in the beginning, one in the end. I know exactly what I'm doing. Every single time I go into that fucking room and I'm on that fucking mat, I know. And it is such a life lesson for me every single day. I just did it today, where I have to be in not even the moment of the class, I have to be in the second of it. And it helps me mentally. I don't have to fast forward into my life. I don't need to obsess about whatever it is I need to be thinking about. I just need to be in the present. And that translates to so many things in my life, being able to appreciate when it is time for me to eat. Like when you and I are done today, I am looking over at my lunch. I am just like, I cannot wait to eat my lunch, and it is going to be just a celebratory experience. And for some people, my lunch is not going to be anything that excites them, but for me, it is. And so being able to find those little joys, that also keeps my habits and keeps my routines going on the daily.
Do you notice, did you ever eat poorly, Bob? Were you ever a fast food guy?
I grew up in the South,
Right.
but I will say, I think about this. Okay, I'm going to answer your question, but it's going to give me a minute to get to the answer. I grew up in the South. Grew up on a cattle farm in Tennessee. We didn't go to the grocery for pretty much anything except I want to say some dairy products, because it wasn't a dairy farm. It was a cattle farm. We had our own garden, so our food was very minimally touched by the big corporations. So if I think about it like that, I ate very clean, whatever that means, whatever
Right.
clean eating is. That's how I ate. So I grew up eating. I didn't have a weight problem. It wasn't until I was out on my own, and I did not have a lot of money. I was to say that I was on a budget was a real joke, because I remember working when I was young. I wasn't able to go to college. I couldn't afford it. I worked at a bank, and I got paid once a month. And I remember it was $800 a month. And then when taxes came out, I can't remember. It was around 600-ish that I had to live on for a month. And so it was I knew my rent was 300. I knew I had to buy my bus ticket to get to work, and that was, I want to say, 45. And so the food, everything else was for food, and it was a lot cheaper to eat shitty food.
Yeah.
And so which really sucks when you think about it. So I understand being able to how hard it is to eat healthy when you're on a budget. But then I got to the point where I found the frozen vegetables in the grocery store, and I was like, okay, I'll start doing that. Bottom line is, I had to start preparing my own food, and I started doing that from the jump of my life as an adult, and that really helped me be healthier. But there were times where I would eat Taco Bell was my thing. I loved Taco Bell, but I haven't been in a fast food restaurant. I have not been in a fast food restaurant in, I don't know, 25 years.
Wow.
I don't it's not on my radar. And I just feel living in New York, I mean, if I'm going to have a slice of pizza, I know where I'm going to get a good slice.
Yeah.
you know, the food that I like, I love French food, I love Italian food, I love Mexican food. Like, I'm going to eat those foods, uh, and they're going to be worth it for me. I'm not gonna sit and eat, I don't know, a bag of Oreo cookies or something and just be like looking for the quick fix. I'm gonna have that conversation in my head of like, come on, because I I feel like I'm a little bit more lenient with myself than you are with yourself.
But
Is
even in
that
that,
fair?
yeah, maybe, but in that leniency, I find that some separation, like a real period of time spent away from that stuff, and I'm now craving vegetables and leaner meats and non-processed foods because I feel actually better
Of course you do.
when I eat them. And when I eat the other stuff, which is really, really seldom, I don't feel well. It becomes, you know, it's very weird. Like, way more people are dying every year from obesity related disease, heart disease. Heart disease is like a massive killer than they are from smoking cigarettes and lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's still killing people, but we've utterly demonized cigarettes. Like, it's taboo basically. I mean, you can smoke on the street, but you can't smoke indoors pretty much anywhere in America.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is a thing. I don't think a cigarette is going to kill anybody. I don't think that that's the case. Just like I don't think a Snickers bar is going to kill anybody or a meal at Taco Bell. But our interaction with it isn't a meal at Taco Bell. It's like becomes the majority of how we eat.
I know. Well, first of all, I wanted to say that one part that made me giggle before you said all the great things that you just said. When I said, "Is it fair?" Is that a fair statement? I love that your voice went up an octave when you said maybe. I thought that was funny. Okay, um, so I know that there are people that will argue food addiction. You can't be addicted to food. I'm like this. I mean, I think it can like trigger things. So for maybe there is a population of people that has that one Snicker bar, and then they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna eat 6 Snicker bars, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna just say, and then I've realized that I've like fucked up my diet completely, and then I'm just gonna just go all in. I know people that have that mentality where, oh, you think I fucked up my diet? I'm going to lean in so hard and I'm going to show you just how much I'm going to fuck this up. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's like the cut your nose off to spite your face kind of thing. And like, I understand that way of thinking too. It's like, I have had people that I've worked with say, be careful with Bob because he will cut his nose to spite his face.
Right. Right.
So it's what that one Snicker bar could trigger uh, the domino effect with a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I'm that way. I can't smoke a cigarette. If I smoked a cigarette, I would be smoking 2 packs per day,
Right.
like in no time. I actually There's a McDonald's not far from my house, and it seems like maybe it's the most popular McDonald's on the planet because no matter what time of day I drive by it, there's a line that loops around like you can't see the end of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I have mixed emotions when I see it. Part of me, I'm like, I don't feel good about it. I feel like it's a big contributor to obesity, and I don't think that food is very healthy. And then there's another part of me that's going like, look at those people living their lives the way they want to live them. Just just experiencing whatever. When I see a person smoking cigarettes, I feel like envious a little bit.
It's interesting. Do you want to know what I feel when I see the lines at the fast food or I see the person smoking? I go more toward, I wonder what they're going through right now.
Right.
I go that route.
Yeah.
I'm not envy as much as I'm more empathetic, and I go, oh my god, did that girl did that girl have a really rough day? Did her husband just like cheat on her? I go to that dark place, and they're
Yeah.
just like they need to be medicated from whatever it is they're feeling with those food choices that they're making.
Yeah.
Then the other side of it is maybe they're just like, you know what, I've got $5 in my pocket, and that's all I have right now, and that's what I'm doing. So I
I
mean,
mean, there are
there's
some nice cars at the McDonald's near my house. There are some fancy cars. Those people, you know, but I like your point of
fair
view.
enough.
Like I appreciate your point of view. I think that is way more generous than mine. But I then think like realistically also, a lot of them are just on autopilot, you know, and this
Yeah.
is just what they do. This is just their food. You know, they don't have
Um,
time to make food and this is how they're eating.
there was one thing that I did on Loser for all those years because you know we were in an extreme situation, very extreme, like working out, working out several hours a day. You know, being very aware of every single calorie that you consumed. Uh, but there was always one day a week where it would just be like it would be the and you want to talk about a trigger phrase. I hate the phrase like the cheat meal.
Right.
I'm having my cheat meal. It used to be the cheat day, and then people were like, okay, there's
We
we're
can
not,
blow the
we
week in a day, no problem.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I would give I give my people their cheat meal. Like, what do you want? Like, and it would almost be like the dangling carrot, right? Like, okay, so like get through all this hard work, and we know it's hard, and you know it's like we're trying to like in this extreme discipline, just trying to or extreme situation, trying to build up some sort of discipline, and then also go, you don't always have to be this way. So whatever it is you want, I'm going to bring you in. You tell me you want pizza, burritos, you know, whatever it is, and they would get it. And a lot of times, and I'm sure you know this, uh, the healthier you eat, the more your body really responds to that really crappy food. Where before you're constantly being medicated. It's one of those slow drips, right?
Yeah.
Where you don't realize how shitty you feel when you are eating shitty food on the daily. So when you start taking that out and incorporating healthier foods, you kind of like detox it, uh, detox off of it, and then when that day comes around, you're like, oh my god, why I feel so lethargic. I'm tired. My stomach hurts. Like you know, and then you hope that like they can remember that feeling when it's time for them to make their own choices.
Dude, this is something I've wanted to see on Survivor because I love Survivor. I loved your show
My
too.
favorite show,
Yeah.
Survivor.
When they have those giant all you can eat buffets, they never show post meal distress. They never show somebody who gets diarrhea from it. They never show somebody throw up. They never show somebody feel bloated. It's crazy. But I mean, I look at that and I'm like, I bet after you're starving for a while, that's fun to do, but you probably get wrecked after you eat like that. Grilled
Uh,
cheese sandwiches on a desert island, I would be in so much pain.
Me too. Let me tell you, I Survivor is like arguably my favorite show. I love it. I do need Jeff Probst to quit talking so much during the challenges.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I would be in those challenges, I would just be like, shut up, Jeff. I'm trying to focus on holding on to something forever. Anyway, um, so I know people that have worked on on that show, and we've had that conversation. And I guess what happens is there's a lot of people going into the water and having like you know
Oh
really
my God.
terrible bowel movements. Like you know,
Right.
they were like, "Oh my god," you just kind of see them in the water, just
Got to edit that out.
I
Wow.
know.
Yes. The little cloud following them. Holy shit. I never thought of that. But yeah, that would be
Yeah.
me for sure. If I went from eating nothing to eating a gigantic greasy meal, I'd have diarrhea for 2 days.
Do you want to know what else I loved about Survivor? Because I mean, give me a transformation any day of the week, and like I was always obsessed with seeing the people that made it all the way to the end, just how fast they lost weight, and like, and they're dirty, and they're like all of a sudden, the girls and guys abs start coming in, and and they're basically living on water and rice.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, I'm like, see, people think that carbs are bad. That's all they're eating. Like, there's a population of the whole world that just eats rice, and they don't have weight problems. I
Right.
mean,
No,
but like,
the high fat people, look, I'm super supportive of any diet that somebody finds useful and workable and they like. I don't like all the proselytization of like everybody should do this, because it's
uh,
that, if it worked for everybody, we would have cured, it would be done. There would be no more obesity. Everybody's heard about keto, or the majority of the people in America, I suspect, have heard about
mhm.
this. Like, carbs are bad. Okay. Um, but you know, protein, your body can turn protein into glucose. So whether you're eating meat or, rice, if your body needs glucose and it's getting enough energy, it's going to create glucose, and it's just a chemical. And so it's in
Yeah.
your blood as the same thing, you know? That's one of these things that never makes sense to me. Like, you can't eat carbs because they poison you and it's bad for your blood. No, your body needs it, and you give your body enough energy, it's going to figure out glucose from one of these sources.
Yeah. When I was years ago, I was doing a lot of Olympic lifting. It was my favorite thing in the world to do. And I had my own coach. His name is Michael Casey, one of the best coaches I've ever had. Uh, and we talked so much about diet because, as you know, your workouts in a day, let's say let's say you're working out for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. You still got 22 hours in this day. You've got 3 hours in this day. Yes, working out is very important, but it's what you're doing the rest of the day that really matters. And those times where I would come in and I would try to like carb deplete because I had a photo shoot coming up. Uh, oh my God, he would just be like this, girl, you can't even get that bar over your head right now. I mean, you're just like, you're dying. Like, my body, and I know that everybody's there, my body needs that glucose, needs like right after a workout, I need that's the one time I'm really big in balancing, right? Like, I'm big on getting protein, fat, and carbs all the time. After I work out, that's the one time that I don't put fat on my diet. I keep it protein and carbs.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's all in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. My biggest carb meal of the day is for sure after a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just
And
feel so much like you just feel so much better. You can have a great workout. You can perform uh, uh, better. Uh,
it doesn't, if I'm also I get into these weird zones too, where it's like, I can, and I have many times worked out so hard that the rest of the day is shot and I've destroyed
yeah.
it. And what's the point? And so, like, in an effort to not do that, one of the things that has been really useful is to give my body back the energy I've spent in the gym in the form of carbohydrates, because they go right into your muscles. You're not storing that as fat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just you want to like you want to enlighten people. You want to give them the information. You want to see like what information they can grasp onto, and what they can't. And I think that the more it is you can spoon feed it to people, the better it is in the long haul. I mean, like, look at the things we're talking about, right? We're talking about these things that in the health and fitness world have been discussed for years and years. There's like, I mean, I don't even know how many trillions of dollars the health and fitness business generates every single year. It's like, and now with all these all these Ozempics and Wegovy's, all these things that are out there, people are still just looking for the secret to it all. When if you talk to people that have been conscious of their health and diet and their fitness throughout the years, you have to realize that there's got to be a caloric deficit. You got to find ways that you can like eat less if you are trying to lose weight. Like you've got to have that calorie expenditure, and when you have the deficit, weight's going to come off.
Yeah. Yeah. The Wegovys and the Monjuranos and the Zep hounds and all the newfangled things, I really hope people understand, because I know some people who have gotten onto these recently, and they're doing like 2 month stints on them, and that is worrisome to me, because if it's not going to produce any better results than any crash diet. It just might be less painful. It might be an easier crash diet.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times the medication is getting people to just eat less, right? And in the future, will it be like, will insurance companies make it more accessible to the bigger population? I know that it's very expensive, and so all of a sudden you talk to people like, well, I'll just be on it forever. I mean, we're talking about the population of people that can afford to be on this forever.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about all the people that I've worked with throughout the years, that don't have insurance, that can't have that magic medication, and you've got to be able to still get their head in the game. Like, okay, this is a path, and if this path is not right for you, or if you are not an option for you, what is an option for you? And I think that giving people, you still got to give people hope, right? And not feel like, oh my God, well, I can't afford this magic drug, so you know what? Fuck it.
Right. Yeah, the fuck it is sad. Um
Mm-hmm.
and I do think, like, I've not met and I've not had like a real heart to heart with an overweight person who never thought about, who didn't have this as some kind of a goal, even if they'd had so many failures they'd given up on it. But
Mm-hmm.
when I see young girls today who are overweight but very proud of their bodies, I like that. That
Yeah.
feels better to me than the shame that I knew as a kid, and that was more socially acceptable to discourage people from. So we've come into a weird place where possibly the next generation really doesn't think about it, but everybody my age or around my age, I don't know of one person who's overweight who doesn't want to be overweight, who wants to be a healthy weight. And the
And,
hopelessness is hard.
yeah, and don't you think one thing that I try to tell people all the time is there's no one healthy body uh, uh, image. Like, healthy bodies comes in all shapes and sizes, and if your doctor and you are at a weight and a body composition that it keeps your blood pressure low, your triglycerides down, like your blood, all the sugar number, every single number that's out there. If your doctor says you're healthy, then great. Like, that to me is way more important than just I've got to be a size 4 or whatever,
Okay.
2.
To this story, you'll like this, and this speaks to the inability to like, I know that, I agree with you. That's the message that we should be pushing out. That's what people, but it's similar to the lifestyle change. It's like, until you do it, you can't understand that. I was a huge fan of your show. This was during my cycling stint, so this is like maybe 2011. I'm 240 pounds, and I have no idea what my body fat percentage is. I have no idea what a healthy weight is. So I'm going to go see the best doctor who knows all about this, and I'm going to get him to tell me how much I should weigh. And I know what he's going to say. He's going to say I need to lose 20 pounds. I go to see Hyzenga.
Oh,
Yeah. I and Hyzenga looks at me and he goes, "Oh, you got a lot more than 20 pounds to lose." And so I'm crushed. And he says, "First thing we're going to do, we're going to give you a DEXA scan." Go, I do the DEXA scan, come back to his office. He comes back, he's looking at it. He goes, "This is a mistake. You got to do another DEXA scan." I'm like, "Okay." Go and do another. And DEXA scans are not quick. It's like 20 or 30 minutes with this machine checking, like pulsing over you. Come back
yeah.
to his office and he says, "I was wrong. You don't need to lose any weight. You're 14% body fat. You can be done. You're totally healthy." And I thought, no, he's wrong. I need to lose 20 pounds. So even when the expert tells me you're done, you're fine, maintain this weight, I can't do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's your issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
I
it's
mean,
that thing of like all bodies come in shapes and sizes. I, for so long, was comparing myself to others and
yeah,
going, that person looks, that normal, normal person over there looks different than I look. I need to look like them and then I'll feel good about myself. I never
right.
felt good about myself.
And do you feel good about yourself now?
I will say I feel better about myself, but I practice daily positive affirmations and talking to myself in a kinder way. And I wasn't doing that back then. I'd never even considered doing that back
Hmm.
then. Um, but I catch myself still all the time being negative towards myself.
Yeah, man, it's that tape recorder in our heads, right? It's like you just hear that. I remember I've talked to people before, and I did it on the show many times. It's like you listen to those voices that are in your head talking about yourself. I mean, you have to realize that those voices, that voice in your head, I mean, he's a liar. He's a terrible, terrible person. I mean, the things that you are able to say about yourself, you would never dream of saying that to anyone else. So
Right.
it's like once you, and I'm not saying you, but the general you, once you kind of, and this is going to sound very hokey, but I don't care. Once you can find that like self respect and that self love, and to realize I'm just doing the best I can. And if you, in fact, are, then that's how you get to change that tape recorder in your head. It's like, but it is a daily effort. Just like you said, you got to think about it all the time. I have a little mantra that I say to myself uh, on those really hard days where I'm just like, I don't want to work out. Like I, I'd gone through a depression several months ago that was just like leaving me incapacitated. Like I had lost my dog, and it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through, and continues to be. But getting to that moment of where you said a lot of AA people say "fake it till you make it," which I think is a great phrase. Um, mine mine was like, "Don't think, just do."
Yeah.
Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. And I would have to say that over and over again as I'm putting on my, bike shorts to get on my Peloton bike, or to get out of the house and just go to the gym that's 3 blocks away. Like, don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. And I would just get myself to that place. And sure enough, as we all in the fitness business say, in the health business, it's like you're going to feel so much better afterwards. And when you take your own medicine and it really does work, you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I do kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's the best, man. Yeah. You know, that is what the gym has become for me very much. It is the place that I go. It's like church, and you hear that a lot, and that's another probably trite thing that's bandied about. But I go And when I leave, I am a different person, and the
Hmm.
rest of the day benefits. All the people I interact with benefit, my wife, my children, business people, everyone benefits, and I benefit because I'm happier. And it's a very odd thing because drugs and alcohol would make me elated for a very short period of time and then have a negative effect on everyone around me
Of
and
course.
leave me feeling awful at the end of it. But I always wanted to do them. There wasn't ever a day I woke up not wanting to do drugs and alcohol. I wake up all the time knowing I'm going to feel better after the gym, but I don't want to go. and
Right.
and like you said, one foot in front of the action. Don't it just act, don't think, and you get through it. And after you, it becomes easier to do it, to act on that. The more you
Mhm.
do it, you get into you create a habit, and you just know, okay, I feel like garbage now, I'm going to feel better, so I'm going to go do that thing.
And it's like when I talk about, or when you and I talk about our 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 isms, our ways, our obsession, like this is all the information that I want us to be able to to give to those people that live like in the biggest cities, the people that are the most overweight in these cities, and kind of like come in, because I feel like you and I have a lot to say about these things, and it all comes down to uh, just it's discipline, it's empathy, it's passion. I think that like what you have and I have, we have a passion for it. Like, and
Yeah,
it's wrapped up in different packages. But at the end of the day, you and I are speaking the exact same thing in uh, in two different uh, POVs.
I agree. Yeah, we could be great cheerleaders, Bob. If we could go, imagine if we went into somebody's house and just said, here's lots of things you could try, and we'll root you on.
I just wonder who would be the tougher one out of the two of us.
I think you would be.
I don't know anymore. I don't know. Maybe I've gotten soft in my old age. I listen to you, like you. The last time you and I had a Zoom call, I said to you, and I don't know if you remember this, I was going to use you to get me to go to the gym more, because I'm fixated on my like I live in New York City. I track my steps. I do my hot yoga, uh, and I'm like, oh my god, I used to go to the gym every single day. Now I'm gonna think like Ethan. Just think like Ethan. Think like Ethan, and just like get to the gym, and like I go to the gym now, and sometimes I curse your name, uh, and maybe my workouts consist of like I, I don't want to say an old person's work, but I literally, I'm just like, hey, you know what? I just need to do some push pull. Let's just do some
Yes.
push pull today, Bob.
Yeah.
Like, and I used to live in a CrossFit gym. I used to go to the gym all the time. Like, and it just, that habit changed since my heart attack. And so now I'm like getting back, and it's like, I gotta think like Ethan, think like Ethan.
I love it. That's
So
amazing. Yeah.
sometimes I think you're a real asshole, Ethan.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I like being that asshole for you. That gives me nothing but pleasure.
Fucking Ethan.
Uh,
Ah,
Bob, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
I think you're the best. I really do. I look forward to many more conversations with you.
Me too. Talk soon.
Okay.